We got former middleweight champion Israel Adesanya going up against streaking prospect and rising contender Joe Bodybags Pyfer. Now let's start off on the Adesanya side of things, who has really been slumping as of late. 1-4 in his last 5 fights. Obviously, lost the title out to Alex Pereira, won the title back against Pereira, but then lost a fight against Sean Strickland, a fight in which that a lot of people expected it to be a routine title defense. Did not end up being that way, as Strickland put the pressure on Adesanya and did not relent, hurting him numerous times in that fight, but ultimately winning that fight on the scorecards. Then Adesanya took some time off, came back for that grudge match against Dricus du Plessis, and still didn't really look himself. He was a little bit tentative, had some decent success, but then in deeper water, we saw du Plessis really start to pressure. Adesanya got a little bit lazy, and that led to Adesanya ended up getting clubbed and subbed. And then last time around, February of 2025, we saw Adesanya headline a fight night against Nasruddin Imavov. He looked decent in the first round, picking Imavov apart. It was looking like it was going to be a classic Adesanya performance. And then in the opening seconds of round 3, we see Imavov land a big shot on Adesanya and hurt him badly to eventually win that fight by knockout. So it's a few things for me here. Adesanya, getting a little bit older. He's 36 years old. That's something to take into consideration. Something that was very good about him as he was coming up in the UFC and obviously dominating as a middleweight champion was that his defense was on point. He had the speed and the reflexes to avoid the big shots from his opponents. He was setting traps. He was springing them on his opponents. It's not working out as much for him anymore. His takedown defense, very high level, but we're seeing that start to fall apart a bit, and that's where some opponents have managed to have some success against him. But that durability, that chin, he used to rely on his evasiveness, but that's starting to slow down a little bit as he's starting to get up there in age, and that's why these guys are able to land these big shots and hurt him. And I don't know if he can keep taking these big shots anymore. They might just wobble him and not just put him out completely, but still, like the fact that he's getting clipped, the fact that he's getting hurt, that goes to him possibly slowing down and not having as much success at this stage in his career. Now, he's going up against Joe Pyfer, a guy, if you guys have been following me for a while now, you know that I'm not all that high on him. I've constantly looked to fade him. Obviously, had the Jack Hermanson win where we were able to cash Hermanson, I think about like plus 200, plus 250. But he's managed to rally back with knockout wins over Marc-Andre Barriault, a dominant showcase against Kelvin Gastelum. Struggled a little bit with Abus Magomedov in the opening round of that fight, but then the resistance and the pressure he started to apply really caused Magomedov to slow down, and that led to Pyfer getting that second round finish. But Pyfer's really accruing the necessary experience to be successful at this level. Earlier in his career, he was a big grappler who would just look to utilize his BJJ background to get opponents to the ground and smother them. Then he started to rely on his big knockout power after that TKO injury loss where he broke his arm against Dustin Stoltzfus on the Contender Series, start to become a knockout specialist. Then we saw him start to sprinkle in more of his grappling like he did against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Even in the Kelvin Gastelum fight, he started leaning on that a little bit more. Big power, good wrestling, good grappling, very strong, very physical fighter as well. But it seems like the technical aspects of his game are really starting to come together. Now here against Adesanya, this one has got me going back and forth over and over again. The one fight that's coming to mind for me that's kind of making it even harder to have confidence on either side is the Usman and Buckley fight. I kind of wrote Usman off and I was like, Buckley's probably going to find the big shot and knock him out. And I'll admit to this day, I still haven't watched that fight. I got to go back and watch that fight to see how Kamaru Usman overcame the knockout power of Buckley. And it probably looked like Usman doing Usman things, right? High pace, high cardio, high wrestling, smothering approach, and nullifying Buckley on the ground. Why I'm referring to that is that, I've always believed in Usman. I've always believed in Adesanya. Am I willing to predict against Adesanya now because of what his recent form has looked like? Because when he's fighting a clean fight, he's doing what he did in the first round against Nasruddin Imavov. Can he get away with doing that against a guy like Joe Pyfer? Maybe. We know Adesanya has a 2-inch height advantage, a 5-inch reach advantage as well. But we know once Pyfer connects, not a lot of guys can really stand up to that type of power. The other aspect of this is if Pyfer goes out there and strictly wrestles, he could have some success there as well. Adesanya might show decent takedown defense, but I think Pyfer is strong enough to keep him in some of these bad positions and then expose a potential submission spot where Adesanya, sometimes he kind of lacks in the submission defense game. So I feel like I'm going to be on the fence the entire fight week for this fight. As of right now, as of this recording, I'm going to lean on the Pyfer side. I think we see Pyfer connect big shots early, or his wrestling open up submission opportunities for him. I hate that I'm saying it because I always look to fade Pyfer, but I feel like Adesanya is just in that stage of his career now where things are just not going right for him. And to go up against a dangerous finisher like Joe Pyfer, probably not the best matchup for a guy like Adesanya to take right now. So I might hate myself for it. I don't even know if I'll get to the betting window on it. I'm going to see where this line goes throughout fight week, but I'm going to go Pyfer. I'm going to go Pyfer inside the distance. Maybe club and sub. Maybe something similar to what Dricus du Plessis did as well. This could potentially be one of those spots where Adesanya just picks apart Pyfer from distance and just runs away with this as Pyfer starts to slow down. But as of Monday of fight week, I'm going to go Pyfer inside the distance. Mediocre confidence. Let's go Pyfer inside the distance.